Hi, my name is Taylor Carlstrand, and I'm a Texan born and raised. And throughout my life, I've seen my fair share of what this wonderful state has to offer. From the fun to the haunting. And today I'm taking you to prison. But don't worry though, you're not in trouble or anything. We're just heading to Huntsville, Texas to see the Texas Prison Museum. So strap in for the ride. This is Exploring the Lone Star State. The Texas Prison Museum is more than just a ball and chain display. Here you get to see and learn all about the long criminal justice history in Texas, ranging from Bonnie and Clyde, to the prison rodeo, to the monument dedicated to memorializing 150 years of the prison system.
Yes, the Texas Prison Museum was conceived in the early 80s by some local residents here and some of the leadership within what was then the Texas Department of Corrections. And they thought there was a need for us to keep the archival stuff over the years and create a museum, because Huntsville has always been the home of the original state prison, the Huntsville unit, or more commonly referred as the Walls unit. I would say I have several exhibits here. Most of them have to do with the ingenuity and creativity that the inmates have demonstrated through, whether it be their artwork, whether it be utilizing odd materials to make some nice artwork. I would say one that is interesting to me would be the soap carvings that the inmates have made out of just barred soap. Whether it be the chess set that is out there, whether it be the cowboy and the longhorn being dogged out there. You know, contraband is anything that is not legally given to an inmate or purchased by an inmate through illegal means. Which means if they were to buy a Coke can, for instance, and consume the contents of their soda, and then they were to, manipulate that can, which we have one in our exhibit, that becomes contraband. Likewise, the shoes where they have hidden some of their homemade weapons, some of the things that they've made out of homemade weapons, or made out of for homemade weapons, I should say. Those are just some of the things that to me is just another part of their ingenuity, of how they take common items and they try to deceive staff, and that's why they call them convicts, because they're cons. And that's just their one way of surviving in their mind. Yeah, we have some good exhibits from Lee Simmons. You know, Lee Simmons, just a little short history, he was our director from 1931 for about 1936, I believe it was. And he was the one who created the prison rodeo. But he also was our director during the time when Clyde Barra and Bonnie Parker came down to East Texas and helped Joe Palmer and Ray Hamilton escape from the Easttown unit. One of the artifacts we have here that I think is really interesting, it belongs to the Simmons family, was one of the pistols that was taken off of Bonnie in the death car. Frank Hammer brought that back as a memento to Lee Simmons for his efforts in bringing about the demise of those two thugs. And the Simmons family has been very generous in allowing us to have the opportunity to display that here. I would say probably it's a combination of one, the old Sparky, the electric chair, where it sits in our museum as an exhibit. One of the additional exhibits around the walls that surrounds the electric chair is an exhibit that Barbara Sloan did. It's a photograph exhibit, along with getting statements from people who have their family was a victim of crime in which their family member was killed or murdered, and the family member gives statements as to their thoughts on the death penalty. That's one side of the argument. The other side Barbara did was also talk to the families or friends of the survivors of the person who perpetrated the crime, who was given a sentence of death and was executed, and in getting their perspective on the death penalty. So to me, that is one of the probably most eye-opening exhibits if the staff or if the people that come in here will take the time to read that and evaluate the two dichotomies of thoughts about the death penalty. Well, that particular electric chair is still owned by the Department of Corrections. It's on loan to us. In that particular chair, 361 people was executed in that chair. Although there were some females that were sentenced to death, no female was ever executed in that chair. The women that were sentenced to death had their sentences commuted to life. So that is one of the interesting things that I find about the death penalty during that time, was even though they might have been a murderous person, a female, there was still some, I guess, leniency, you might say, toward a female criminal at that time, and they commuted them to life. One of the other things that I find interesting about the electric chair and clearing up for our visitors is the myth that, you know, when there was an electrocution, all the lights in Huntsville dimmed because there was so much energy going through that electric chair, you know, just all the lights were dimmed, and that's nothing more than a myth. The electric chair had its own generation system. Even the electricity within the Huntsville unit where the electrocutions were taking place at the time was not affected by the electrocutions. But one of the goals, I'll say, for this year 2022 is to try and get some of the backstories behind the exhibits. Right now, when someone comes into exhibits, there's just so much narrative stuff that you can put in an exhibit case. And there's a lot of stories behind that. And what my goal is, hopefully, and we'll get it done this year, is utilize the new technology where you have the QR codes, and you can, someone who may have a smartphone can go in there, hit the little QR code, and then there would be a narrative, oral narrative to our patrons so they could get a little bit more of the story behind the story. You know, our mission is to educate the people of Texas, the people of the United States and the world about criminal justice, particularly the Texas prison system. That is our primary focus, and I think we do a very good job of that here. We focus more on past history than we do current events, but we do capture current events because soon it will be history. So, you know, one of our big plans is to continue to educate the people that come through our door. We expect everybody to have their own opinion of the criminal justice system, and we respect that. We don't force our opinion on anybody. We think everybody's entitled to their opinion. We believe everybody should be respected for their opinion. And we want it to be a warm enjoyment or enjoying atmosphere for they can learn. So that is our goals in the future.
The Texas Prison Museum is definitely the most eye-opening place we've seen so far, but it's still a wonderful place to check out the Lone Star State. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next and last episode of Exploring the Lone Star State.